Okay, I've sent it to her.
Okay, this is Arcana.
Reopen the file.
Written by Aoife, Faye Baker and Greg Machlin. Okay, teaser, exterior Vertigo prison day. A hulking grey stone prison surrounded by miles of water, less welcoming than Alcatraz by half. Interior Vertigo prison stairway day. Rashida, 19, black woman, half-starved and feral, is dragged by a male guard down a stone spiral staircase and down and down. At the bottom, he tosses her frail body through a doorway. Interior Vertigo prison, the deep room day. Rashida skitters away from him, but only hits a back wall. He grabs her arm and yanks her towards an opening in the stone floor. Visible through it, dark, churning water. She fights back, but is too weak from hunger and torture. The dark hole gets closer. He tosses her into the pitch darkness. Splash. She surfaces and gulps air. He grabs her by the neck and pushes her back under, holding her down below the dark water. One little harpy, two little harpies, three little. Underwater, Rashida flails, helpless, bubbles escape her mouth. As her breath slows, curious fish approach her, pale fish with visible organs. She stills. From the depths, a bioluminescent glow moves. It gets brighter, closer. The small fish flee. Rashida redoubles her efforts, clawing at the guard's hand. Above the water, the guard yanks Rashida up. She gasps for air.
Please, something is down there.
Down she goes again, underwater. The glowing thing is below her. She plays dead, slitting her eyes, hoping she won't interest a predator. She feels the guard's hand slacken and she kicks off the stone opening, swimming underwater into the dark. A faint light filters through the water. She hits a stone wall. She follows the light to find a crack in the masonry, just large enough. Desperate, she shoves her upper body through the opening just as light flares on the other side. She's so startled by what's there, she lets out her breath. She halts face to face with a bioluminescent woman with a long, sinuous tail of an eel. Rashida flounders for air. She starts to pass out. The world dims. She's jerked backwards. Interior, Vertigo prison, the deep room day. The guard flings her to the ground by the wall. He's soaking wet and seething with anger. She vomits water. He slaps her back to help or punish. She can't tell.
Stop! A creature is down there.
There's nothing in the ocean but fish and your own guilty conscience.
I know what I saw.
Wham! He backhands Rashida, hurling her to the floor. Rashida gazes down despairingly at her own reflection. Interior, large temple, nave day. Visually matching Rashida's despair is a tarot card of a woman gazing at her own reflection, the star. It's placed onto a wooden table by an older man's hand. The hand belongs to the Hierophant, 50s, Ecuadorian, menacingly stern in Baroque robes. Wherever he is, it's far away from Rashida.
You're late.
The Hierophant is alone, but his voice reverberates through the temple entryway down a hallway. Interior, large temple hallway day, to a young female acolyte in a long pale robe, quickly folding a sheet of paper. You're late echoes around her.
Damn.
She sprints down an airy stone hallway, passing several rooms. In one, roiling bodies shudder through incense smoke. In an amphitheater, more acolytes pray. In a third room, a figure in a white veil wears a crown of lit candles surrounded by plants and herbs. The acolyte doesn't glance into any of them. Interior, large temple, nave day. The acolyte races across the room to the Hierophant. From above, we see the floor is a grid of ornate cards. The cards depict people holding swords, wands, cups, and coins, also bells, flowers, human remains. Some are rulers or celestial beings. A few are wild animals, but all the marble inlay tiles are recognizably tarot cards. The acolyte stops at the table, nearly slipping.
My deepest apologies, Hierophant.
Fourth bell, child. Apologize to the divine pantheon, not me. Bring the map. I already have the cards.
The acolyte nods, fetches the map, rolls it out. One scraggly continent borders the sea of emotion. She adds carved symbols to two major locations on the map. The town of Wade in Leth, the country of Yazd, and two other countries.
Today we read the tarot just for Wade and Yazd. The Yazd minister arrives tomorrow. Yazd princess is set to marry a Wade noble.
He hands the acolyte most of his deck, keeping a slim stack.
You're not using the whole deck.
The Hierophant turns over cards, each with dramatic names.
No, just the major arcana, the Empress, the Star, the World, the only 22 cards that matter.
He dismissively flips a few of the 56 minor arcana cards.
By contrast, 8 of Swords, 5 of Wands, 2 of Cups, suited cards so unimportant they're not even named.
As the Hierophant drops the 2 of Cups, its bronze goblets shimmer and change to golden. The acolyte's impressed, but not surprised. There's magic in this world.
And we read for powerful people.
Correct. Kings and queens don't want minor arcana. Everyone in their lives is important. No place for nameless people in this world.
He flips a card from his small major arcana sack. The Fool. He sweeps it away, annoyed, as the acolyte protests.
The rulers who come to me don't want to be told they're fools.
He draws up a new card, satisfied to see that it's a major arcana, the Hanged Man who hangs upside down by his foot. Exterior Crossroads by Wade, day. A match for the Hanged Man cards. Fest, male 40s, wearing jester clothes, hangs upside down by his neck from a tree, very dead, but the world behind him is also upside down. Then the world rotates 180 degrees clockwise, reorientating us. Dead Fest now hangs right side up. A thoughtful crow pecks away at Fest's golden earring. 2 figures approach on horseback, pausing at a sign reading Wade, a knight, jonquil, 30s, Lebanese, cocky in his saddle, and Rashida, exhausted but hopeful, more color in her cheeks and more muscle than she has had 1 year ago in prison. Jonquil notices Fest. Shit, Fest. Hadn't seen him in years, but I knew him once. Rashida, forever an optimist, notes a patch of blue bonnets. I think that's you, Catherine.
Oh, sorry. I think I'm on the wrong page. Do apologise.
Page 5.
Oh, I was sorry. I was on page 4. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't move down.
It's about halfway
Nice
down.
field, flowers and everything.
What good's a field do? He's dead.
Not everyone gets to die in a nice field. Where was he hung?
You might have pissed off the wrong noble. Nobility hangs who they want. Cut him down.
By myself.
You're the squire, aren't you?
Counter argument. If the noble puts him up there, won't we piss them off by cutting him down?
Says the criminal out on clemency who needs my recommendation reports.
Cut him down it is.
Rashida dismounts. She pulls a knife from her saddlebags, tucks it into her clothes, and begins to climb. She wraps herself around the branch that Fest hangs from and saws the rope with her dagger. It's a slow process.
I'll get you down. Easy does it.
Why are you talking to him? He's dead.
He was alive, though.
The rope splits. Fest flops to the ground and crumples, noose still around his neck. Rashida gracelessly jumps down.
Start digging a grave if...
No time. We need to register me for the tourney. Just lay him out.
He at least has flowers.
You're crying out loud. Rashida picks a set of bluebonnets, arranges Fest's body under the tree and lays the flowers on his chest.
May all your sorrows be lifted.
The crow lands on Fest again. Must have earring.
Fare thee well, jester man. Wish I'd known you.
Come on, let's ride. Jonquil snaps his reins and rides away. Rashida remounts her horse and struggles to catch up. Suddenly, Fest's eyes pop open, his face contorts in a silent scream, and he flails in the noose. Neither rider sees. A large, shiny beetle crawls out of his mouth. Fest spits in disgust. The crow cries in anger, grabs the beetle and flies off in a hasty retreat. End of teaser. Act 1, Interior Mansion Day, an incredibly lavish room draped in fabrics invites its inhabitants to relax. The lord who owns it has a quest. Nayati, female, mid-20s, Middle Eastern, made up and dressed to sensual perfection, lounges on a couch with the fancy lord friendly. She pours them both a drink, each movement a performance, each word a purr.
Would you like an extra kick?
What did you have in mind?
Nayati unstoppers a small glass jar, smells it like fine perfume. She theatrically pours a cobalt blue liquid.
This is the syrup of blue monarch butterfly flower, and it...
Terrible name for a flower. Long.
Best names were all taken. The whole world had been discovered.
The Lord drinks his cocktail and she resumes her story. His hand climbs her thigh, continues its journey north.
The syrup of blue monarch butterfly flower is potent, first as an aphrodisiac,
His hand hovers in the air over her breast.
then swiftly as a poison.
The Lord's hand falls onto her breast as he slumps against her unconscious. Naiaji's feminine seductress vanishes. Now she's ruthlessly efficient and annoyed assassin.
Even after death, you're gross.
She removes his limp hand from her bosom.
I have a newfound respect for your wife, beyond her swift payment.
Naiaji pushes him off and stands. She pulls a bag from under her couch and tosses her glass into it. Then she takes out a tarot card, an image of a lounging king of cups. She artfully arranges his body to match the card. The Lord gurgles a faint breath as she pulls out a note. The words, "Sorry for everything," clearly visible.
Perfect.
Zing, a crossbow bolt strikes the Lord through the throat.
No, infertile mule piss.
Naiaji rushes to the open window the bolt came through to see a dark cloaked figure toss a crossbow aside and run.
This is my kill.
She spills the Lord's wine on the table, races from the door. Interior, Assassin's Guild office in Wade Day, a nondescript room, a wall of gold tokens, a master employee behind a counter placates a glaring Naiati. We've got no sound, John.
Oh, I know, I muted myself. That kill has already been claimed.
By me. My third coin.
You poisoned him, but the bolt...
The guild is here to prevent this.
We have strict rules against stealing a member's assignments, but you're not a full member.
Because someone keeps stealing the assignments I need for membership.
If it's any consolation, your kill and staging were far more elegant.
My client had a special request, and the thief ruined it. Thanks.
Naiati storms out onto Wade's Main Street, nearby rides. Exterior Wade Main Street Day. Rashida eagerly urging her horse as she and Jonquil pass through the town centre towards a bustling row of tents.
It's tourney time. You can smell the excitement in the air. My aunt told me about Wade. She's a weaver here in town. Aren't you excited?
A few townspeople recognise Jonquil and wave to him. I'm excited by the clink I can get from the Izmirs. See their house? Jonquil notes a larger, richer house than the others.
You may like money. I want to be a knight so I can help people and make sure what happened to me doesn't happen to anyone else.
You're not going to be a knight, Rashida, ever. You're a criminal.
I'm a squire. Squires become knights.
And that's the end of the... Sorry, Erin, that you arrived a little late at the party to get a part, but can you hear us? Hello?
Whoop, here she comes. Hello.
Hi. Okay, thoughts. You were listening, Erin. So what were your thoughts on that?
Well, it's really interesting. I was wondering what time period it was because of like the knights and squires, if it's not supposed to be set in a specific time, like
I think it's a fantasy type
Fantasy,
sort of
isn't it?
thing.
yeah.
Game
I
of
was
Thrones.
wondering. Yeah. I was curious about. There's a lot of stage. There's a lot of directions. Are they all like necessary? Yes. No.
Sorry. Carry on amongst yourselves. I've got a message from Greg.
Oh.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yes, I
Did you
agree
reply
with
to
you.
him?
I agree with you, Erin. It was like reading the synopsis of a novel at the very beginning. That teaser bit.
Is quite a big teaser.
Yeah.
It feels more like a TV show.
It's like a pilot episode rather than a
Pilot.
teaser.
I
Yeah.
think it is a
Exactly.
drama pilot. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I can see the
Because
cat.
it seems like such a world they're trying to build. There's so many
Yeah.
pieces right away that I don't know necessarily. Obviously, we'll be following her, but there's so many threads right now. So I don't have a full grasp of it. It's interesting. There's interesting like images and kind of world building they're doing already.
Mm.
I agree. Yeah, it feels very novel-like. So somebody who often is accused of being too novel-like. It's also that some of the scenes have points of view and things of other scenes, which are all mixed up in the scenes, which just needs a little bit of delineation between either as shots or as different scenes or points of view. I'm just trying to find them now.
That's one thing I
this one,
thought
the
it might
large
be.
temple. In the large temple, you know, you've got points of view in an amphitheater. So if we're in a large temple hallway, is she running down the hallway and then looking into rooms? Because then halfway through that on page 3, you've got in an amphitheater, more acolytes pray, and then in a third room, a figure with a white veil. So and it says the acolyte doesn't glance into any of them. So it's not her point of view, but it is a point of view, is a shot into a room. So it just needs a clarification there, I think.
I wasn't sure. I thought it might have been, I'm guessing because it was a little bit confusing. It needed a bit more explanation there, but I wasn't sure if it was perhaps a load of different worlds. Obviously it's a fantasy, but I thought maybe they're in some sort of parallel place where they can look into different worlds, maybe, and that's what the corridor was. Like it's I don't know, but that's what I guessed. But that needs a bit more clarification. That was one of my.
So that was the thing that I noticed about that. Just dive in, anybody, with your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe more description with regards to what's going on in general, you know, with the scenes, because it was a bit confusing as to, are we all in the same world looking, or is it parallel universes, or because that wasn't very clear. Within the scenes, they were nicely done. I liked the characters are written well, the dialogue is pretty good, but I would have said it needs a bit more description with regards to the actual placement of the world or worlds and how they interact with each other. Because just, I mean, obviously it's just the first couple of pages, but it was a bit like, what, where are we? So
yeah, I think
I was gonna say that I wondered, I know it says it's a drama pilot, but I wonder if it almost has like a Monty Python type of vibe, like, or it's supposed to, or if it has more of like a Game of Thrones type of, like, that's what I was
maybe it's a mix of the two, because I like the dark comedy in the characters. That was really good. That came across really well.
That's what I was really interested, just because the way of the, like right here, it's zing across both strikes, or, you know, like almost has like that.
And now for something
vibe.
Completely different. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, but yet it
Playful.
has almost like a vibe of like one of those, like, I don't know, Game of Thrones types of shows too. So I was very curious about that.
Well, it's kind of almost like, it's almost Terry Pratchett.
Well, yeah, it reminded me of that book. I can't remember who wrote it, but it's you can jump into different pools, and each pool is a different world. It reminded me of that for some reason, because of the rooms. I thought maybe that's where I was getting the idea from, but I can't remember the name of the book.
And I think the teaser spent far too long describing where they were rather than who the people were.
Well, I don't think they described where they were at all.
I don't think they did describe where they are, where they were. I think there was a lot of description of nothing happening.
It was a description of actions rather than, that's the directorial stuff, where we don't actually know the story, where it's based.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I didn't mean physically where they were. I
Oh,
just
right.
meant there was far too much explanation and not a lot of
Yeah. I think with these kind of things, if it is fantasy, it's quite hard to set the scene right at the start, isn't it? Of what the location is. You've got to be really clear. I mean, exterior Vertigo prison, it could be a real prison for all we know in some random country.
Yeah.
I think you need to make it clear that this is a fantasy land or
The
whatever.
world of Zarg or whatever. Yeah.
just so that we know. I mean, similarly, at the start of Act 1, interior mansion day. Well, what kind of mansion? I mean, is it you know, Californian mansion, or is it a mansion in a Tudor mansion down the road from me? You know, is that kind of, what kind of a mansion are we talking about? The only other thing I think is, I don't think they needed to delineate between teaser and Act 1. I don't think that's even necessary. Just usually you wouldn't have that, would you? You just run through, and at the point where you put in the titles, you just put titles over or something, you know.
I think after the teaser, the Game of Thrones theme came into my head. Dun 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 dun. Dun. I think they see the big opening already.
Okay. Any more
That-
thoughts on that
that's-
one? We must move on.
Well, I do have one thought. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing that's interesting too, because like from a writing standpoint, I think sometimes I get what's in my head, but when it comes out on paper, it's good to have these things written out and read out, because then you see like, well, maybe it's in your head, but it's not on paper in the way that it's in your head. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
right?
true, but that's why they say all good writing is in the edit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Absolutely true.
So I don't know. Just something to think about.
So you can vomit
Thank
it out onto the paper, but you have to come back and then edit it and put it in the right format and everything.
Got to
Fab.
clean the vomit up afterwards.
And clean the vomit up. All right, there we go. Let's top that one. Thank you so much.